Well, we've had a lot of questions sent into the Fox Facebook page today for me to answer, so we're going to work our way through them and hopefully I'll be able to give you some answers. We've got Warren Jones. He's asking, when dead baiting, what's best, whole bait such as a frozen roach or pieces of fish cut off? And also when fishing over weed, whether it's best to fish on the bottom or to fish above the weed. With regards to choice of dead baits, I tend to like baits that have been cut in half simply because it releases more of the flavour into the water, attracting pike from a wider area. So generally I prefer a half bait. When fishing over weed, if it's not too thick, I just fish the bait on the bottom. If you ever get the chance to go out and look at a dead bait that you've cast on any conventional dead bait rig over relatively thin weed, it does actually tend to sit on the top of the weed. If it's thick weed, you might want to have a look at some of the various ways of popping baits up, such as pop-up balls or putting foam in the baits, or maybe using a paternoster. However, if the weed's not too thick, I wouldn't worry about it. Pike are used to finding their meals on or even buried in the weed, and if your bait's there, they'll soon dig it out when they come across it, so don't worry about that one too much. Not necessarily an out-and-out predator-related question. We got one here from Nathan Marsh. How can I help to reduce my bite alarms going off because of the ferocious wind that's upon us? This is a really good one, Nathan. I don't know if you're talking about this from a predator fishing point of view or carp fishing, but one little tip when you're using front bobbins, swingers or hangers or anything else like that, what you can actually do if it's really, really windy and they're constantly going off is actually move them round to the front of the bite alarm and hang them in front, and then the alarm will only actually sound if the roller goes. Obviously this is only suitable for species that you're expecting to hook themselves or to give a confident bite, but in windy conditions or when you're predator fishing with lively baits, that can be a good little tip to stop the alarm going off all the time. Okay, we've got one here from Barry Chadwick. What would you say is the best way to make my dead baits more attractive? Well, like I've already said, cutting them in half obviously helps to release the oil. You can also get the Fox air and oil kit to inject flavours into your dead bait, and it can be a good way to experiment through the winter, trying different flavours. Personal favourite of mine is the Richworth salmon oil. Attracts all species, but for predators, a really good proven attractor of fish. So that's a great way to make them more attractive in my view. Popping them up off the bottom as well can make them that little bit more visible. Next up, we've got one from Ryan McEwen. What is your dead bait of choice, or the one that's given you best results? Really good question there, Ryan. I've got different dead baits that I prefer for different situations. Fishing close in where you've not got to cast very far, I absolutely love sardines. You can get a nice big kilo bag of sardines from your local supermarket for about £3, so they're a good economical bait as well. The main reason I like them is they're absolutely full of oil and they're nice and soft. What this means is when you wind down to a pike, when it takes the bait and strike, the hooks pull free very easily into the pike's mouth, which can be a problem with tougher baits. If I'm fishing a little bit further out, smelt have always been a very, very consistent bait for me. They've got a very unique smell. Their colour looks a lot like the prey fish in the UK. They look a lot like a roach or a rudd or the average sort of prey fish, and I think that plays into their hands as well. For long range fishing, good old half mackerel, nice and tough, stays on the hook well, and if you use that with a decent sized lead, you can cast as far as you'll ever need to. Okay, we've got a really good question here from Paul Barnes. How do I get my girlfriend to go fishing? That's a bit of an interesting one, Paul. I think my tip would be to choose a good day to take her out when the weather's nice. Maybe make it a short session, involve a picnic. Certainly not sort of cold weather. A day like today out in a boat on a big reservoir would probably be enough to put anyone off for life, to be honest. What I would say as well, surely time apart's important as well. So maybe she goes off and has a day doing what she wants, you do the same. Maybe that's a good idea as well. Fishing's not for everyone, but who knows? Hope it works out. Anyway, okay, I've got one here from Paul Wollaston. He's just started fishing a 147 acre reservoir, can fish from the boat or the bank, and he's asking what the best tactics would be. He's been doing some trolling behind the boat, but it's been a bit of a struggle, only catching smaller pike and perch so far. This is quite a common question. I know a lot of people when they move up from relatively small waters, and it's easy to forget that most waters in the UK are probably 5 acres or less. And when you move up to fishing a water of that size, I mean, 147 acres, or even a water like this, which is actually over 1,000 acres, it can take a long time to get your head around it and work out what works well for that particular water. The fact that you can use a boat on that particular water is going to give you a massive head start. Even if you don't use the boat to fish from, what I would say, today we've got the fish finder sat behind me here. Don't actually use it to find the fish, but to find the contours under the water. It can be a great head start to go around, suss the water out, take some paper out with you, map the water out, work out all of the depths. During the spring or the autumn time when predators are very active, trolling, as Mark's already been doing, is a great way to cover water, or drifting from the boat casting the lures. When you get into the colder months that we're approaching now, using the knowledge that you've built up by working your way around the water, then I'll be targeting the deeper areas where you'd expect food fish to be hanging around. So during the warmer months, mobile methods when the fish are very active. Colder months, focus on those deep areas with static baits. We've got a question here from Joe Munns. Are there any other options when pike fishing instead of using 2 sets of trebles? Quite a topical issue at the moment. There's a lot of people looking at the various options to use for pike fishing as opposed to treble hooks. There's been a lot of talk about the new circle hooks and whether they're suitable for pike fishing, and also about things like the kebab rigs that work quite well with single hook setups. I think it's really good that people are looking into this, and obviously the conservation value of using less hooks for the pike is obviously positive. However, I think what we do need to accept is the mouth structure of a pike is different to any other fish that we fish for in the UK in fresh water, and treble hooks are very efficient at hooking the pike. I think a lot of people worry as well about obviously dealing with treble hooks from an unhooking point of view. If you use semi-barbless trebles, just the one barbed point in the bait, you should find them pretty easy to use. I'd also recommend, if you're new to predator fishing and a little bit nervous, might be worth contacting the Pike Anglers Club of Great Britain, who are likely to have a region in your local area. Go along to one of their meetings. Maybe someone will give you a day out, or maybe you could arrange a guided day with a predator expert. There's quite a few people, including myself, out there that do offer that type of service to give you an insight into predator fishing, right from the methods through to handling. So there are other options out there, but I still view trebles as the most efficient way of hooking pike.